No matter where you go, no matter what you do, take that Maui style with you. Cause if you ain't Maui styling, you just living on an island. Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 There is sunshine in your heart. It's been with you from the start. Lift your head, look to the heavens, then you will feel brand new again. Don't stop me now, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Reach out your hand and help each other. Your mother, your father, your sister and brother. There is love in this family. Pick yourself up and get on your feet. Don't stop me now, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Makena styling, upcountry styling, Campo styling, Kahana Valley styling, Hana styling, Waihu styling, Bahia styling, Keanai styling. Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Maui styling, Maui styling, don't stop me now. Maui styling.
Aloha! Welcome to another Up Close and Personal. Here in 2008, we are talking with Maui County candidates for political office, and we have a real treat today. We have a sitting council person, Mike MOLINA. Aloha!
Aloha, Jason. Glad to be here as always.
Welcome to the show. Mike is a representative from which district are you?
Makau Haiku Paia. But
Now, isn't that a funny thing to say? He's from Makawao Haiku Paia district residency seat. But if you live in Molokai, he's your representative too. If you live on Lanai, he's your representative too. If you're in Lahaina or Kihei, he's your representative. We elect and have 9 representatives. It's only a residency requirement. So if you like Mike MOLINA, no matter where you live in Maui County, you can vote for him. So remember that. I stress that because it's probably the greatest misunderstood thing. You know?
Exactly, Jason. I've had countless numbers of people tell me who live outside of Makau Haiku Paia and ask me, can I vote for you? And I tell them, of course, wherever you live in Maui County, it's an at-large election. You can vote for any council member that you want.
So what that means is it doesn't matter whether he's Makawao Paia Haiku seat. That's great. If you see his name on your ballot, you can vote for him. That's bottom line.
That's right.
People say to me, oh, Joe Bertram, he's District 10. No, he's 11. If you are in that district and you're voting and you see a name and you want to vote for that name, go for it. So I just bring that up and stress it because it's important. Now, you are such an old veteran. You're a young veteran.
Yep.
4 terms of council already.
That is correct. Time flies when you're having fun, and it certainly has been an honor to serve the people
It
of
has
Maui
flown
County.
because I don't remember what year it was, but I've been doing these interviews with you for 4 terms at least, right?
At least, I think, well, my first run for public office was back in 1998, if I'm correct.
Okay.
And at least since 2000. I think this is about our 4th or 5th interview session that we've done.
Right. Now, I hope you've been watching, because Mike Molina has become an experienced council guy. What is your role there now?
Currently, I'm the land use chairman, and as you know, land use is one of the more difficult committees on the council. Anytime you have zoning proposals for land and development, there's always controversy and pros and cons to
I was
it.
going to say, you've probably seen some heat in your time.
I tell you, a lot of heat over 8 years, Jason.
How have you made your decisions? I know that sometimes people think that, oh, you just came in with a point of view and that's where you are. You listen to a lot of testimony, don't you?
Definitely. And before I make any decision, I weigh all the facts, look at all the information, the pros and cons, and I think I can pretty much speak for most, if not all, of the council members. Everybody looks at all the information carefully, and then ultimately you have to make a decision. And sometimes you're in a no-win situation, but as elected leaders, you have to make a decision.
You know what a no-win situation is? That means no matter how you vote, someone is going to not agree with you.
That's the nature of politics.
So, you know, we all look at campaign spending. If someone's giving you $1,000 or $2,000, if that's enough to sway your vote, you know, to me that's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
In that, you know, they always say follow the money, but it's a tough decision. I've watched myself, and I can't imagine. We're going to take a moment break. It's a tough decision to be determining what to do with all the different factors. And I don't know. That's why I think I kind of resigned to being on television and not sitting in the hot seat. I mean, it's a lot easier place to be.
Well, yeah. I think you have to have a passion for serving your community, and you know, over time you grow thicker skin. But I've learned to realize it's not personal, and you just do the best you can, and it's a commitment. Just like what you're doing, Jason, is a commitment. It's a great service for the community, to allow everybody to see us in somewhat of a different light. So we all have our own passion and commitments in whatever we undertake.
Well, what is your passion? Can you remember back to when you were first running and why you were doing this? And where has it gone, and how do you see it having evolved?
Well, let me take it a step back even further. It started from high school. I was brought up with the emphasis of giving back to my community. I joined the Leo Club, which is a youth version of the Lions Club. And upon graduation from high school, I decided to go out and serve my country. I joined the United States Air Force, and then later on the Hawaii Air National Guard. So I've always had it instilled in me about service to the community. And then later on, I got into the teaching profession, working with kids in our public schools, which is a tremendous experience that I thoroughly enjoyed. And then later on, the opportunity to run for a public office came, and we weren't successful the first time, but we gave it a second try, and I've been in it ever since. And the greatest thing about politics and community service is just the fact that you meet people, you hear many, many different perspectives, just broadens your horizon. So that for me is why I'm in office, to try and make a difference and giving back to the community.
Well, what do you guys want back? He's ready to give back. Let's take his wallet. Now you live up country. I bet no matter where you turn, there's a thing on everyone's lips. And what is it? I was going to tell you what it is, but I bet you can tell me.
Well, there's always the age-old question of water.
Water. That was exactly the one I had in mind.
That's right.
You see things getting any better, and what do you see happening?
Well, I'm certainly hoping that we can expedite the process for the issuance of water meters, especially for families who've been waiting for years on the list. And I think we also need to upgrade our water transmission systems. These piping and everything else, they're pretty old, 30, 40 years old. But it's going to take some money to get these systems upgraded, but it's money that has to be spent in order to provide us the acceptable level of water service and quality.
What about catchment systems? Someone told me that to have a catchment system, you have to not be on service with a water line or some kind of rule like.
Oh, that's what I'd heard also. But you know what? I think we need to be open to that. I know on the Big Island they have they allow catchment systems in certain areas, so I think we need to be open to that as well. Provided, of course, Department of Health standards on that. And, you know, that's always a big hurdle that you have to deal with. Even the use of reclaimed water should go more in that direction. The use of gray water. The council dealt with that matter recently. I think Councilmember Baisa brought that up as an issue, and it got sent to the state legislature as part of our legislative package. And at last report, we're still awaiting comments and rules from the Department of Health on that. So that may become a reality.
Okay. That's so funny when I hear these subjects. We've been talking about these same things for as many terms as you've been in.
That's right.
And then some. You know, I remember when I started politicking a few years even before you, things take time to change,
right.
Even when you know what's right, huh?
Yeah, and even when it's especially hard when you're dealing with an issue in which you have to deal with other government agencies, the state or the federal. So you're somewhat at the mercy to them before you can actually move with some of the things that you want to see in the community. So it's the whole bureaucratic system that sometimes creates a lot of challenges for us in reaching some of our objectives and goals.
So do you feel like we're making progress?
It depends on what subject you're talking about. If you're talking
Pick a
about
subject.
Water. Well, let's pick one. How about housing?
There we go.
We're making slow but steady progress. Just the other day, the Affordable Housing Fund, which I introduced that charter amendment that set aside the 2% for the real property tax.
Right.
Those monies, roughly about $8 million, have been set aside for the purchase of either land or the purchase of units to provide low-income housing or housing for people in the 120% group, the gap group, so to speak.
The 120% group. Doesn't it sound like a good group? What is that?
Yeah, these are the folks that make too much to qualify for, you know, lower income housing, but they make too much, or excuse me, too little to afford market rate housing. You know, these are the folks that are in the blue collar industries. A teacher like I was once, policemen, firemen, those folks who just make just under what's needed to afford a market rate home. I think that's a target group we need to focus on. And we've already started the process with the Affordable Housing Fund that's available. Also the First Time Home Buyers Fund, a program which I introduced, which is a low interest loan program. So we've got some additional tools in the toolbox, if you will. And if I'm fortunate to be reelected, I'm going to look for some other tools to help us address this big gorilla called the affordable housing, and also affordable rentals. It's also a big issue right now.
Yeah, and I was going to say, don't get me started, because I get on my soap. I've been talking about the same thing since I got here.
That's right.
It's nice to know that it's not forgotten, but we need such an extraordinary number of units to meet the need. Things are still going to be higher than we want them to be. Affordable housing is still questionably affordable, and now there's a group, the 120%, they're questionably in the middle group. You know, when you get to retirement age, you'll hear me talk about it on many shows. People don't realize until they realize that it's too late for them to do it the slow way. They got to think of something special. It gets crazy. Things are expensive and inflation is happening. How prepared are you in your world for retirement? How prepared are you right now to go buy a house? The affordable housing, do you find that you constantly having people coming and asking you about the housing?
Yes.
Or has it stopped? They still asking?
People will still call, but right now with the situation with our economy, it gets worse because some folks have had their hours cut, they got laid off, so it makes it an even bigger challenge to own a home, let alone now people trying to find places to rent. Although there are some places available, but you know, still rents are still high for some people.
Well, in fact, because of this funny real estate market, all those high rents, which came because the high mortgages created a reason for them to be charging these rents, they're now laying vacant, and so they're lowering their rents. And we're getting more affordable. Hang on a little bit. There'll be so much affordable housing, you'll be wondering, how come there's so much housing available? That's because people are living in tents.
That's right. So maybe because of what's happening with the market, one of the unintended consequences, now you're creating a lot of rentals that are available but sitting vacant. But still, if people don't have the means to make their money, it'd be hard to pay for those rents as it is.
Which is why learning about being self-directed and learning how to create your own entrepreneurism and self-determination are things we all talk about, but the more we embrace them, the more we'll be able to figure out what to do and how to help others. It's difficult when we don't have enough of a knowledge base. When I sit around and listen to people on the council or we watch the Congress right now in the middle of this bailout of the financial system. How many of those people really know the impact of what they're doing, to the plus or to the minus? Very few. So I think it's important we all get educated.
Definitely.
What about, just because I can't help but mention it, there's two kinds of things. There's vacation rental, and then there's bed and breakfast. Now, how's that one going along?
Well, right now the council's planning committee, which is being chaired by Councilmember Baisa, we're looking at working on an ordinance for both bed and breakfasts and transient vacation rentals. The major difference between the two is if you're applying for a TVR, or a transient vacation rental, you must live on property. You don't have to live on property, whereas a bed and breakfast you have to.
So you guys get that, right? Bed and breakfast means you live there and you got a unit on your property and you're renting it out. That seems like an easier thing to have, a little more leeway with. Are they being set up as separate bills?
At this point, yes. We're making a lot of progress on the bed and breakfast bill, the TVR bill. We're getting close to addressing
Transient
that as well.
vacation rental. That means someone's here, they buy a property with the intention, maybe not originally, but gets to the point where they want to rent it out. And I guess the issue has become that when they rent it out, they don't know who's going to be renting it, and people in the area can feel a little bit victimized by whoever is coming in there.
Yeah.
That's a sensitive one.
It's a difficult balancing act because you have to respect the rights of the residents to preserve their neighborhoods and not let it get turned into a business zone, if you will. But yet there's property rights, and if you want to establish a business, so long as it doesn't disrupt the neighborhood, you have to also be respectful of that as well. So it's one of those situations where it's almost viewed as almost a no-win situation, But you have to deal with it. And
well, like you just said, the people in the area. Maybe it's going to be that you give a bundle of rights to the people in the area to determine what's going to happen in their given area, rather than have it mandated from on high on a rule that does everything.
That's right. Well, I'm definitely in favor of a process in which the surrounding residents of someone who's applying, for example, a TVR, their input plays a significant part on whether the council approves a conditional use permit for a TVR or a bed and breakfast. After all, these are the folks that are going to have to live with whatever type of business next door to them, TVR, bed and breakfast. So
TVR, we think it's like CDR and DVDR. No.
Yeah. Too many acronyms,
We live in an initial world. TVR, transient vacation rental. It's very clear that loss of TVRs has impacted the economy here in a big way, and with all that's going on, it's a tough decision. I'm very sure that our mayor and the council, are making the hard decisions. Many times it's really easy for us to judge someone that's sitting in a seat, and when we don't agree with what's going on. But I take my hat off to you, because it's a major thing to where you're a beloved teacher, everyone loves you. Suddenly you're on council. Yeah. They get out their pistols and they're ready to shoot you down.
And the swords.
Yeah, they do, I know.
But you know what, it's all still a very positive experience the way I see it. I mean, like any job, you have your good days and your down days, but I think just the experience of hearing all the multiple perspectives and points of view really broadens your horizon. And I think you come out a better person for that. And I try to look at things in a positive light. And the learning process never ends from the day you're born to the day you die. So
we've decided that this part-time job called the council member is full-time and then some.
Oh yeah, the pay is considered part-time.
Do your family know what you look like anymore?
You know, it's around election time. I think my wife becomes a widow.
There you go.
In an election, you're a widow, you know. But I take my hat off to her, because her and my children, they've had to, when your parent is a politician, it's equally tough on them as well, because people not only watch the politician, they also watch the politician's spouse and kids, and knock on wood, they've you know, kept their nose clean, and they've done their best to represent Dad well, and I'm very, very fortunate to have a great wife and wonderful kids.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I really have enjoyed your wife and kids. I going to just bring up subjects, and just because they're fun. I mean, they're on top of my mind. Transportation. Now, I know we've had some success with the bus system, which I hope is expanding as transportation is kind of kicking in. Has anyone looked at transportation corridors? Has that been brought up?
You know, I did bring that up at several of, in the past, and at several candidate forums. I think we need to really look for in that area to purchase the land now, while it's still somewhat reachable in terms of paying for it. Look at what happened with Oahu. Not purchasing those transportation corridors early, it's what a significant factor in, you know, putting together their rail system or their transportation system. That's a big part of the cost.
And we may not think that we'd ever think of having a rail system here. Again, I don't mean to be boring with it, but when I started running politics in 1992, we were talking about monorail and railways. Think how much cheaper land was then.
Oh yeah. And you know, a rail system, say from West Maui to the airport or Central Maui, I mean, you know, at the rate the state is going with doing our Ho'opi'ilani highway, I mean, a rail system may be just as feasible. So
yeah, it might be good for your grandchildren by the time we get it in there.
Or their grandchildren, I don't know.
No kidding. I remember being in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, they have the Century Freeway, and it was in the 1970s, when I'd see all these houses boarded up and sitting there, and it seemed like forever. But when they needed to put that freeway in, they finally got there. The cost of land wasn't as much a consideration, and they were able to create what they needed to create. So I hope that stays on the on the thing.
As the old saying goes, Jason, time is money. The longer you wait, the higher things get. So.
And wouldn't it be nice to have a little vision and think about something before it's a burning need?
That's right. It's like a lot like preventative medicine.
Sort of like energy. Do we have any? I guess we must. I was going to say renewable energy. You know, we see more of it coming into our world.
Well, there's a lot more discussions about it for sure. I know Mayor Tavares is a big proponent of renewable energy. There's been a lot of discussion about photovoltaics, wind power. I think up Palo Rancho, Ulu Ranch, they're getting into a partnership with Shell Oil and Maui Electric to do some more wind farms up in that area.
Don't you love that? Shell Oil is now an alternative energy person.
And while we're on the subject of oil and gas prices,
I've heard of it.
Yeah, you know, I'm doing my part to make a little more noise about it. I think we here in Maui County are really subjected to some gas prices that are in my view, very unfair. When you look at the Big Island, why are their gas prices significantly cheaper than Maui County?
Are they?
I mean, yeah. Last I checked, the Big Island was, I think this past Saturday, was about $4.20 for regular. And what are we paying for regular here? About $4.50. And I was told that, it's because of our high gas tax. Well, we pay 16 cents on the gallon. The Big Island is 8 cents. Okay, so there's 8 cents there, but you're still looking at a 20 cents, close to a 20 cents differential. And I've never been given that answer, a clear-cut answer as to why. So I think we need to collectively make our voices heard about that, because I feel it's not fair that Maui County gets discriminated with some very high gas prices. And I'm not blaming the retailers here. I'm looking at maybe possibly the answers lie with the wholesalers, the folks who are selling the gas to our retailers. So I'd like you to join me, Jason, and let's make our voices, because we're still, for a while, we're going to be dependent on fossil fuels with our cars.
Yeah, unless we all start using our bicycles.
That's true.
I mean, honest, the truth is, when looking at the way, I'm so glad to see that we're doing mixed use, zoning. For example, like in Kihei, where Lapoa and South Kihei Road. It's not like it's a new concept, people. In cities, they do that. And to be able to have someone that can live and have a store in their own property, that may be the way small business that is going to be able to survive.
Incorporating smart growth principles.
Smart growth. It's almost like an oxymoron, sort of like
military intelligence, right?
Honest politician. No. Ouch! Ouch!
You got me.
No, the fact of the matter is, you know, it's a tough thing to be a politician. You know, even when you try to be open and transparent, people are very accusatory. They think that the only reason that you could be making a decision is because someone's putting the finger on you.
No, like I said earlier, you know, I look at all the facts, and then you just go ahead and make your decision. And I'm glad you brought that up about transparency. Just the other day in the planning committee, the GPAC, the General Plan Advisory Committee, they formed these subcommittees, and there was talk about making these subcommittees closed to the public without anyone having the opportunity to at least observe what's going on. And I stated my objections towards that, because we all talk about transparency and respecting the Sunshine Law, and here we are now having a subcommittee that's closing themselves off to the public. I had some real concerns with that, so I'm hoping the GPAC and the planning department sort of got the message from myself and some of the other council members that let's keep everything transparent and open to the public.
Yeah, that way we all know what's going on. You know, how many of these things, again, not to be specific, but Walea 670 or some of these other building projects, when years and years and millions of dollars have been put in by developers, where the public, because they're either not aware or not realizing, they need to be talking about this stuff way back before people are spending so much money that they have a real reason to see it through, because you've put them in a position where they're trapped. So it would be nice to see some visioning. I hope that the GPAC, the General Plan Advisory Council, can come up with some long-range plans that we stick to.
And I know they're working really hard, and I want to thank all of the other members of the GPAC.
25 people that have been doing it. It's all volunteer, right?
That's right, and the general plan is so critical, because that's the plan that will set the direction for the future as far as infrastructure and the use of our resources. So what they're doing is some pretty serious stuff, and I'm sure they would welcome everyone's opinions and comments on it, because once it's done, then it has to go through the Maui Planning Commission and eventually to the council. So it's important not only the GPAC members give their mana'o input, but you, the general public, as well.
And that's another thing that I'd like to bring up, and I bet you'd probably second it. These elections are just guidelines and benchmarks in time. If you're not involved in coming out to meetings and being involved in all these things between these 2-year gaps, then you're really not involved. This is a full-time deal. If you want yourself to be known, you should be known all the time. You may have the idea that's going to make a difference in how the group moves forward. We have a community so rich in people and resources, with so much knowledge and experience. We should never rely on our council people to have all the answers. They're not our gods.
No.
Some of them may think they are, but they're not our gods.
I'm not one of them, no. But yeah, no elected official has all the answers. You know, a lot of like you stated, the resources are out there. We've got a lot of wonderfully talented people that I'm sure we would all appreciate their input and guidance on. To develop a great community, you need all the minds and knowledge put together to create something really good and positive.
And when you come in front of the council, for example, and you have all of 3 minutes to lay out your deal, why don't you go see someone before?
That's true. Make an appointment with your council member.
Sure.
If
your council member is 9 people.
That's right.
You could be in Molokai and you say, you know, I want to see Mike MOLINA about this, because I know he'll be the one that'll be able. That's the beauty. Remember, we have 9 representatives. Just another chance to bring it up again.
That's right. Call your council member or make an appointment. If that person does not respond to you, or at least give you an appointment, remember that come the next election, because it's the duty, in my opinion, of every elected official to hear every concern, no matter how big or small, at least to respond or give some guidance to the constituent. And you know, I've heard of council members who just who refuse to see certain people because of their background. I think in principle that's a wrong thing, because everyone should be treated equally and with respect, and at least be given an opportunity to be heard.
That's you guy with the one. Red nose. Oh, that's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's coming up. You know, here we are, what, almost middle of October coming up, and by the time you see this, it may be just around the election. This is a very important time where those of you who've been sitting on the sidelines, I hope you're coming out and making your voice heard, and all those of you who've registered, please vote.
That's right.
Make it important.
No vote, no grumble, as they say.
No vote, no grumble. That's right, very important. What issues have been your passion over these years that you feel you could use some public input on, or anything?
A couple of my favorites, well, I spoke of earlier, the housing issue, also traffic, and resurfacing our roads. I've always, for whatever reason, I've had a real passion for dealing with road issues. We managed to get one major issue out in the North Shore, provided some traffic congestion with that little mini reliever road, but the long-term answer is a permanent bypass for the North Shore, and that's something that I'm working on. That I would certainly.
I must tell you, whoever has the key to unlock that little reliever road, when it's locked and I'm in that lane, I have had more problem getting out of that lane because the gate is locked.
Yeah, no, there needs to be some.
Leave it open. Would you please leave it open?
24/7, you know. So I mean, I appreciate what the landowner's concerns, but at the same time, I think you have to think about the greater good of the community, and they have opened it. Made it more accessible to the public over time, but you know, like you said, I prefer seeing it open 24/7.
And I guess another reason why people would say to close that road. I don't know if you've been in Paia in the last couple of weeks, but there's a lot of air there. There's a lot of stores that aren't open. I'm hoping that we all will support our local vendors.
And there's a lot of parking now in Paia, or a lot more than it used to be, so that's sort of a double-edged sword. You know? A lot of parking, but what does that tell you about the state of our economy and our small businesses?
Right, so I hope that we all recognize that we should be supportive of our small businesses here. And that's another thing, speaking of small businesses, home-based businesses is an issue. Anything going on with laws there?
Right now, I mean, that's a bill in Councilmember Bice's committee. She's got some pretty heavy issues in her committees. TVR is now the home-based occupancy bill. That is something that we're going to be addressing in the near future. We did deal with it in January, and it was sent over to the Planning Commission for comments. I believe the bill is back, and I think once we get through with the bed and breakfast TVR matter, I think we'll go into that particular issue. And it's a very interesting one. I think we need to provide people opportunities to, if they want to work out of their homes, so long as it's not disruptive to the neighborhoods, traffic, noise, etc. I think we need to be open to that, looking at that option.
Is there such a thing as a council blog where people can make comments, where there's sort of a forum online for ideas?
You know, that's a good question. I'm really not aware of a particular blog, but you can email your council members with your thoughts.
Well, I'm just trying to think of some way that's, you know, sometimes people just don't come out, but they're at their computers. Do you live at your computer? There's so many ideas, and I just know that if I were on council, I would want to have a free and open, available information way in advance of issues, and just a way to, I don't know, I would really think that take advantage of the kind of communication links we've got available.
Especially with the high technology we have now, it's just incredible what we have at our...
Or if I'm on Molokai and I want to show you my issue that's going on, I take a video, put it up online, put it into a blog, send word, get it out there. Because that's another issue with all the work that you're doing. I imagine you don't... Do you visit a lot of the other islands?
Well, there's enough for us to do right here on Maui, but whenever we get a chance, we go to Molokai and Lanai.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, you know, because you have representatives and you're on Lanai or Molokai, And maybe I'm creating more work for these council guys, but they'll love me in the long run.
That's right. We all love you, Jason.
I don't know if that's true.
You ask the hard questions and you bring up some very good issues. And it's much appreciated.
I really don't. If I was asking hard questions, you'd see a little blood on TV. I wouldn't have as many guests. I've actually had some people who don't want to come on because they think that like you say, I might have a sword. But I've become somewhat known for my funny line.
Oh, yeah. Well,
time to lay down the swords
right.
and come and talk, because you may find that that person you think is your adversary is really your friend.
Well, I'm experienced. I feel like I'm a piece of Swiss cheese. I got so many holes in me from swords and everything else. But you know what? It's part of the process, and we live in a great system of government, a democracy, and it's something that I think a lot of folks take for granted. Like yourself, I've traveled and been to other countries and seen how oppressive governments work. If you go out and criticize government, something bad happens to you. Whereas in America, you're free to say what you have to say, knock on wood, without any fear of oppression from the government. So it's not a perfect system we have, but it's still one, if not the best system of government in the world.
And they say think globally and act locally. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what
I think I flipped it around. It's act locally and think globally. But it's right here that really everything happens. So I really hope that all of you will come out and find your council people and speak with them. Now, for newcomers that are in this political system, you were there once, I was there once. In fact, I guess I'm still there. No. But it's an exciting time, and I hope that no matter who wins an election, that all of us can continue to bring our ideas forth to try to make this a better place.
You don't have to be an elected official to make a difference in the world. That's
right.
the way I see it. As a former school teacher, I always used to really emphasize to my students, no matter whether you're an elected officer or not, get involved and go make a difference. Because otherwise, if you're going to complain about something and not make an effort, don't complain, don't grumble.
Are any of your students now old enough to vote?
Oh yeah, I got a whole bunch of them.
Oh, yeah?
They're out there, and it's so funny. Over time, their looks change, whereas you sort of stay the same, so they'll recognize you, but then I'll say hello, but I'm thinking, no, who was that? But I'm so blessed and thankful that I had to work with some great
I actually
people.
was doing the thing I'm doing now, with this financial literacy, and I'm sitting there talking to someone. There's a big room, and someone from the other side that I didn't invite is there, and they come walking over, and their person that brought them is wondering, why is he going over there? And they come over and they say, you may not remember me, you were my junior high school substitute. You're Mr. Schwartz, right? Kids are so respectful.
Isn't that something?
It really made an impression on their life, and I know you've done that with your kids.
I've tried my best, and I'm really happy to see a lot of my former students now doing well, and some of them actually remember some of the lessons that I taught them. Some of the things that I forgot, and they remembered what I taught them. So I'm really impressed. I'm glad that something stuck, and that they're leading good lives.
And we are all of us, hoping that with what's going on in our world right now, that we can be leaders, and if you see someone that needs some help, help them.
That's right.
You see something that you need, don't be afraid. Come and make yourself known, not only to your council people, but to all of us. We have to learn to be helping each other. We have questionable times, and we really don't know. My crystal ball is a little hazy, but I would say there's some changes happening. And we all have to learn that no matter which side of an issue you are on, we're all people, and it's got to be something that works for everyone.
And we need to move on. Whatever tough or difficult issue, and as you stated, what side you're on, we move on after that and still, work as a community and stay together, because we get more done working with each other than working against each other.
I could keep asking questions, but here's a good question. You're looking for a good question.
Okay.
If I was going to ask you a hard question, what would it be?
Next question. No. Well, I don't know. There's a wide range.
Is there anything that that you would like to share about, or anything that you feel clarification would be valuable in any way. You may not really need it. Like you say, you try to be open and transparent. But I want to give you a chance, if there's some subject that while we've got a listening and viewing audience that you'd like to share about, good or bad.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, I really wasn't prepared for a question like that. I mean, there's so many issues. And we've talked about some of them already. The TDR situation, the housing situation, even development and growth as it is. Yeah, I guess we could focus on that. I know there's concerns about growth on the island, but unfortunately growth is inevitable as long as people are allowed to have babies, we're going to have to deal with it and manage it the best we can. And, you're going to have more and more proposals for large housing projects down the line, but I think it's important that whoever's in office after me, that you closely scrutinize every single project, and we have to be mindful of our resources, mindful of our environment. For example, the plastic bag ban bill, which I introduced, that's something that helps to keep our environment clean, and then we also need to deal with water conservation in that manner, and other things. But
you're born and raised here?
Yes, I am. And Jason, for myself, I remember, for example, South Maui, a lot of wide open space. It was nice then. And of course, as time progresses, more and more homes come up, and maybe those who were born here and grew up with me can maybe sort of relate that there was some sense of frustration. Like, wow, I remember when that place.
We're going to hang on for just a second.
Oh,
there's one of those new things.
Oh, flying things. Huh?
A flying thing. That's a big roach.
Maybe it's Big Brother keeping an eye on us, I think.
We're going to let it go by. Yeah, I hear you. People who live here that see the open space and they see the change happening, and it's quite a change from what they knew.
I mean, I don't think Maui will ever get to be like that of Honolulu, for example. I think we've learned a lot just by observing what happened to Oahu. So I think as long as we pay close attention to any future proposals and balance the needs of housing versus that of preserving the quality of life, I think we'll be okay. Call me an eternal optimist, but that's how I do.
You're an eternal optimist.
Yeah, you have to be, because I think if your leaders become too pessimistic, then what happens to the community then? I think you have to stay positive and look forward, and hope. There's nothing wrong with hope.
Yeah, and I've now lived in Maui. This is 20 years, so I hope that those of you here know I'm from Maui. I'm a Maui guy.
Yeah.
A lot of people have stood in judgment over the years as time's gone on, not only of me, but of everyone that's come here. I hope that everyone that's come here realizes we're here and we need to honor the host culture and try to keep it alive, because a lot of things come here and the level of change, it's becoming more and more like the mainland.
Yeah. Someone once told me about within their community, the belief was, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I think it's great that we welcome everybody from all different areas, but please assimilate with the culture, work with everybody, and we'll be okay. And that way we prevent any animosity. People who've been here a long time versus those who just recently arrived.
Well, I know I, for one, would like to see more Hawaiian music.
Ah, I love the Hawaiian music.
Now,
Kanekapila.
some of you guys probably know, I have a friend named Lono who now lives on Molokai, who Lono always let me sing with him. But now he has really gone back to his host culture and has been writing in Hawaiian. I would really like to see more of the local culture and music
and we've got so much
traditions.
Talent here in Maui.
Oh, a tremendous amount of talent.
And we see young folks like Aratea Helm, and then of course Willie K with his success, and Maui's been winning a lot of those Nahoko awards up on Oahu. We got an incredible amount of talent.
We have a lot of talent, and we want to give the young people a feeling like we're honoring their culture. It is such a nice experience for me when I see a hula halau and I see people in the group that aren't only Hawaiian.
That's right.
That's always a big pleasure, that we're assimilating people and honoring the host culture. And it's nice that people on the mainland, when I'm going to the mainland in this education thing, when we bring up aloha and Hawaiian, it is it dominates.
Their faces light up.
Everyone lights up. They all are so appreciative of the family feeling they get from the people from Hawaii, and
it's called the spirit of aloha, right?
That's right. Not spirits and aloha, spirit of aloha.
That's right.
We have a lot of that around here.
I want to share with you a funny story. A person who just recently arrived in Maui told me, "Hey, this local guy said I'm becoming really good at fitting in with the local culture." And he told me that, he's not a brah or a bra. He just said, "You're still a training bra." So
a training bra.
So the newcomers, I guess males, you'd be considered a training bra if you've been here for less than a year. But once you get assimilated to the local culture, then you'll be a full-fledged bra, or bra, they say.
Now, and if you're a woman, you already come probably with a bra.
I'm not going there.
That's right. That's right. I have liberties, right? It's always a pleasure to sit with you because you're very personable.
Thank you.
And I know that...
Likewise.
Thank you. You've been really through the trenches here and all kinds of issues. What gives you the strength to keep doing it?
Well, I think you have to... my family. I'm fortunate that my family is sometimes my sounding board at home. My assistants that I work with in the office, I'm very fortunate to have them. I've got some really hard-working assistants, and faith in the above. There's that spiritual need.
Is that the mayor up on the ninth floor? No, I know.
Even higher than that.
Oh, even higher.
So I think it's important that you take time out to reflect and appreciate what we have here in Maui County, and whichever spiritual being you worship, it doesn't matter. I think gives one a direction, a person direction and hope, and that's how I approach life. And I take time out to pause and reflect. When the day has been a tough one, I'll go down to the ocean, or I'll go up to the mountain, or just come here, right near the county building, and just enjoy what we have. Sometimes we forget the little things that make a big difference in our lives, and that's what grounds me and keeps me,
Well, I'm glad you're doing it, so I don't have to tell you the truth. And there are others that are running, and whether they win or lose, or whether you win or lose, I know that what it takes is a spirit of cooperation.
Right.
And I've never been anywhere in the world where I found this kind of a level of aloha. I mean, there's something about Maui and Molokai and Lanai that is different than anywhere else I've ever been. And I'm happy to do my part. I appreciate you for doing your part, Mike.
Thank you, and appreciate you for doing all this wonderful work for the community, to let the community see elected officials and candidates in a different light, a very personal light, and it's much appreciated. And
my pleasure.
When I'm watching the TV, if I catch one of your programs with someone else, I tune in and watch. It's really a phenomenon, if you will. I enjoy it.
I actually am putting a challenge out to all of you there. This next election that's coming up, we want to see more people taking my role. I've now been doing this 5 elections, and I've been waiting for someone, or a group of someones, to get on the television with candidates and sitting elected officials that don't carry a huge sword. Meaning, let's bring out people and see what people are all about without trying to knock them down or cut them down. Sometimes these politics around here, we don't bring up issues. They say, that all the stink is under the rug and someday we'll pick up the rug. We know that, but hopefully we can use this kind of a forum here on television to bring out ideas and be a little more gentle and give candidates a little more time to be seen and heard. Wouldn't it be wonderful if through one of these shows you suddenly realize that this is an approachable person, someone you can actually share your ideas with, that politics doesn't have to be something that's isolated and separate from ourselves. It's all us.
And I'd like to add to what you say. I've had many people come up and tell me, God, you're not as bad as some of the things I read about you, or what some people say. You're very personable or not. And it's through shows like yours. I think it serves the community in that aspect, because even for me, before I was a politician, I used to think about, the politicians before me, that, oh, that person looks so, so guarded, And then come to find out when you actually go up and meet them, it's like, my goodness, this person is a very nice person, very approachable. So the point being is make your judgment on your own. Don't only go by hearsay. Go up and, make yourselves available.
What that means is if you have groups that endorse different groups, it's nice to know who they endorse, but do your own due diligence. See who and what you might. They may or may not be in agreement with how you feel. And just because, that's another one. I think people do it for a convenience factor. They figure, those are the ones, I'm going to carry that sheet with me. Well, hopefully this television show has given you an opportunity to get up close and make your own decision. And make your own decision, because remember, no matter where you are in Maui County, you vote for all 9 representatives to council. And no matter where you are in Maui County, Mike Molina can be your council guy. You can choose your council guy.
Right.
You can say, I think this is the guy I want to talk to. He's the one I want. And so I'm so appreciative. When I first started, I thought district voting was important. And I think it still would be good. But I also know there's a great value in this at large, because it means we have 9 representatives. No one of them is off the hook because they're from somewhere else. The accountability is to all of us, all 9. So that's a good thing. I saw our mayor yesterday at a little luncheon. I was walking through, and I shouldn't say, but I was stealing fruit salad.
Oh, okay.
We were at another event in the same place, and they had strawberries and pineapple. All we had was miso soup. I didn't think that was a good dessert.
Oh, still tasty though.
So there was the mayor coming in, and she is working hard. We all criticize decisions, and we all have our own 2 cents and opinions. Get on out there and be part of this. And I think you'll appreciate, no matter what's going on, your involvement will make you feel more satisfied that you're shaping the direction of the place that you live and creating a legacy for the future, whether or not you're in office. You are the ones. I'm often brought out to sing "We Are the World." We are the world.
That's right.
It's a choice that we're making. We can save our own lives or just figure it's the responsibility of somebody else. I think it's all our own responsibility and opportunity. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave. If so, prove it. Exercise your right and opportunity.
And get out there to vote for the general. I was so disappointed to see the turnout for our recent primary election. I think it's important everybody get out there and at least don't make Maui County have the worst showing in terms of voter turnout.
And for yourself. Well, you said it earlier. I thought you say, no come out, no grumble.
Yeah,
no grumble, no mumble.
No vote, no grumble.
No vote, no grumble.
Yeah.
No grumble, no stumble. Whatever.
Bottom line some new ones here, Jason. That's great,
Bottom line, we want you to be involved. Whether you win or lose, we hope you always win. And you always win if you participate. And you never win when you just sit on the sidelines. So, if nothing else, please get out and vote, okay?
That's right. And stay healthy. That's another big important thing, your health and family and being surrounded by friends. That's also something very to be mindful of, regardless of what happens with certain issues or elections.
And if you see a stranger, make them a friend.
That's right. Make a difference in somebody's life.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you again for joining me, Mike.
Thank you, Jason. It's always a pleasure. And keep up the great work.
I hope we get a chance to do this again.
I hope so,
Even
too.
between elections, I have a standing offer that I'd be welcome if you ever have things that you want to share about. I know you have many opportunities in different arenas, but you have an open door here with me.
Thank you. Same with me. My door has always been open to everybody to come on in and share their concerns and thoughts. So for all candidates, elected officials, keep your doors open and make the opportunity to hear everybody's concerns. Whether you can solve them, that's another thing, but at least make the effort to try and help the constituent. And be open, like you are.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed today's show and have an opportunity to get up close with Mike Molina.
Aloha.
Thank you so much again. Mike, pleasure.
Mahalo, Jason, and aloha, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Aloha.
No matter where you go, no matter what you do, take that Maui style with you. Cause if you ain't Maui styling, you just living on an island. Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 There is sunshine in your heart. It's been with you from the start. Lift your head, look to the heavens, then you will feel brand new again. Don't stop me now, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Reach out your hand and help each other. Your mother, your father, your sister and brother. There is love in this family. Pick yourself up and get on your feet. Don't stop me now, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Makena styling, up country styling, campo styling.